Salayich, oy oy eloy goyich, kim sois chosson alkalo. Yossi Salayich, oy oy eloy goyich, kim sois chosson alkalo. Yossi Salayich, 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 oy oy eloy goyich, kim sois chosson alkalo. Yossi Salayich, oy oy eloy goyich, kim sois chosson alkalo. Yossi Salayich, 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 eloy goyich, kim sois chosson alkalo.
Kindly be seated. Opportunity on behalf of the shul to welcome you all to what really we hope will be an absolutely astounding evening. The 100th anniversary, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Polish Shul, as it's known, with the establishment of the Beth Jacob congregation in 1897. We want to thank you all for coming, especially, they're not all here right now, but especially those who made the effort to travel from far and wide. It's all, you think that this kind of, how's that? Sorry. At this type of an evening, it's mostly local attendance, but in fact, in honor of Rabbi Burak and the presidents, we have presence here from all corners of the earth, people from South Africa, Israel should come first, Israel, South Africa, Baltimore, Cleveland, Detroit, New York, Muncie, New York, and really we thank everyone for their wonderful efforts, and also all those who came and contributed to this evening to make it the success that it hopefully will be and is.
Be sweet,
There will be lots of time to schmooze and to talk. I know it's a wonderful evening, but we also want to get through our program. We want to try and spread the speeches a little bit instead of making them all together. So please, I really am going to ask for your indulgence and your quiet. I mentioned before, they weren't all here, but I mentioned in the welcome that we really want to thank everyone from coming from far away, from Israel, from South Africa, and from the United States, in order to honor Rabbi Burak, and of course all the other honorees, all the presidents, past and present, and present past. And also we felt it fitting to let one of the Rabbi's family speak. So we chose one of the people furthest. And actually, I'm really looking forward to this. Because Rabbi Burak has a couple of times told me a little story about how his daughter ended up in South Africa. He said his son-in-law was learning in the Drildz yeshiva, I think, for many years. I didn't ask permission to speak this, and he went to South Africa to visit his father, I believe. And his father became ill, and he had to give the sermon. And Rabbi Burak says they were so enticed and delighted they gave him a standing ovation, and he's never left. That's 28 years. So I think we're in for a real treat. I'll ask Rabbi Drildz from South Africa to come and speak.
Co-chairman, Dr. Aaron Jessen, Mr. Shruti Karoli, my dear father-in-law and mother-in-law, Rabbi and Mrs. Burak, honorees of the evening, past and present presidents, honorees of the evening, my dear brothers-in-law, Rav Abish Pfeiffer, Rav Yoel Newman, Rav Yaakov Gold, Rav Jay Kelman, Cousin Moshe Gins, the honored guest speaker, Rabbi Beryl Wine, who we've had the joy and pleasure of hearing numerous times, even as far as South Africa. Choshev Rabbonim, one and all, dear family and friends, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight is the fulfillment of a personal dream. Over the nearly 22 years, I have to correct the chairman, I haven't been back in South Africa for 28 years. I've only been in the family for 22 years, and it was after that we went back to South Africa. In the nearly 22 years that I've had the privilege of being part of the Burak family, my wife Helene and I have benefited endlessly from the wisdom and kindness of Rabbi and Rebbetzin Burak. And although there have been occasions that have arisen during the course of years, we have not had the schus and the privilege of being able to be physically present in attendance to honor and to laud our dear parents, Rabbi and Mrs. Burak. For the past 5 or 6 months, since we learned of the forthcoming dinner, or forthcoming as it was then, and it's been until now, we have harbored the dream that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should grant us the privilege of being present here this evening for this great occasion. And Baruch Hashem, yesterday evening, we arrived after a 30-hour journey. So, although I'm privileged to have brothers-in-law who have learnt more Torah than I have, and who are more worthy than I, it seems that distance has won this time. And I've been given the great schus to be the representative of the family, to deliver a message of greeting at this outstanding Centenial dinner this evening. May I express, at the same moment, the great joy which I feel to see so many faces, dear family, dear friends, that we've come to know in years gone by and haven't seen all of these years. It's a little over 11 years since we were last here. And it's a wonderful pleasure and joy for Helene and I to see you all again. Rav Naaman in his Sefer Darkei Musar relates how at times a person who is carrying out a mitzvah gedola, a great mitzvah which is perhaps seemingly invaluable, and because he has hidden deep in his heart the desire to receive honor, the desire to achieve personal honor by carrying out that mitzvah, he diminishes the value of that particular mitzvah. We might take an example. Someone is giving a big amount of money to tzedakah. Wonderful. He pledges 100,000 rand to tzedakah, $100,000, sorry. Have to remember where I am. To tzedakah. But he thinks in his heart, what a yichus, look how popular I'm going to be, look how famous I'm going to be. In that instance, he's diminished the value of his mitzvah gedola. It's great in kamus, it's great, it's a big amount of money. But in eichus, in the value of that mitzvah, it's been diminished. Whereas a person who perhaps gives a smaller amount, but does it l'shem shamayim, he does it because he wants to give to tzedakah, even that small amount is going to be of greater value, of greater eichus. We find by Avraham Avinu, whom we all know to be the Amud HaChesed, we find that the Torah describes the Chesed of Avraham Avinu where, in which case, in the case of Avraham, as an elderly man at the age of 99, he's just had his bris milah. It's the third day, he's in pain. There's nobody around. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's been merciful and brought the sun out. And Avraham Avinu sits outside his tent. He could have been lying in bed and relaxing and not been looking out for visitors. But no, dafka then, he goes out to look. And who comes along? 3 people who appear to be strangers, Arabs. And he welcomes them. And it is described in detail the chesed which Avraham Avinu does for them. At that particular occasion, did he himself have any need to do the chesed? Couldn't he have just sat still and relaxed? But it was dafka then, when there was no call, when there was no one watching, there was no one outside there to see, that he still felt the impulsive need to carry out his chesed, because his chesed was truly fulfilling mitzvah l'shem shamayim. Nowhere else in the Torah does it describe for us the chesed of Avraham Avinu in any such detail. One other place it talks about Vayita Eshel, that Avraham Avinu planted an Eshel, where we have the initials Aleph Shin Lamed Achila Shasia Levia, eating, drinking, and accompanying, referring to the eating, feeding, and giving to drink, and accompanying a guest. Why is that? Because this was the one occasion where it was clearly so that Avraham was doing the mitzvah with the purest and best of intentions. The Maisa is brought down about Rav Issa Zalman Meltzer in a sefer called Hizaru B'chvod Chavreichem. He was together with his family and together with Talmidim. And one of the Talmidim looked out of the window and he saw a figure coming towards the apartment of Rav Issa Zalman. And he said, Rebbe, the Brisker Rav is coming. And Rav Issa Zalman got up and he put on his Shabbos jacket and he prepared himself to bestow honor, to show the rightful cover to the Brisker Rav. And he opened the door and he went out and he was about to go down the stairs and the gentleman came in. And Rav Issa Zalman Meltzer saw, yes, it was a gentleman. Yes, physically he had some similarity to the Brisker Rav, but no, it wasn't the Brisker Rav, it was an ordinary Yid. And he went out and he bestowed cover upon the gentleman. He welcomed him and he said, please come in. Can I offer you to wash and to eat? And if you don't care to wash and to eat, can I offer you to drink? And he bestowed so much honor upon the gentleman. He said, please, Rebbe, I'm just an ordinary man. I've just come to you for a letter of recommendation. I'm about to leave for Chutz La'aretz to collect some money for the chasana of my son. And he continued to show the honor to the gentleman. He took out his finest pad, and he took out his pen, and he wrote with warmth and enthusiasm a note of recommendation for the man. And then as he left, he went out and he continued to give honor until he'd left. When Rabbi Issa Zalman came back to his apartment, his Talmidim said, Rebbe, if it was the brisker road, but why the cover that you bestowed upon this man? And he said, no. He said, this sort of cover is the cover that is due to every Ben Yisrael. Hachnosas Orchim is to be done in the finest of manner for everybody. Perhaps we slacken, we forget, we weaken, and we don't give that same attention to all and sundry. But that is what is due to every year. And if this man, if it was inscribed for him that he should get the cover of the brisker robe, so be it. My dear friends, Maranan V'Rabboisai, Rav and Rebbetzin Burak understand very well the Maimer of Rav Shimon HaTzadik when he says in Pirkei Avos al shloisha dvarim ha'olam omed ala Torah v'ala avoda v'al gemilas chasadim, that upon three pillars the world stands: on Torah, on service of Hashem, and on gemilas chasadim, and upon loving kindness which is bestowed upon one and all. The love, commitment, and direction which they shower upon their dear children, and I include myself certainly, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, is unlimited. It's true. My father-in-law was quoted just now about the success which I supposedly had in going out to South Africa. He talked, when he comes to visit, he builds me up too, thank God. Baruch Hashem. He gives me due honor, perhaps a lot more than I'm deserving to receive. The wisdom and inspiration with which they lead their flock is unparalleled. And the wisdom and energy which the wider community of Toronto and further afield is well recognized. The Briach Haticha and the common thread of all these deeds is the dignity and commitment to the Shem mitzvah, for the sake of the mitzvah, for the sake of Shemayim, which is invested therein. As the representative of the family, it is my bracha and tefillah. It is our bracha and tefillah, our blessing and prayer, that Rabbi and Mrs. Burak should continue to guide and inspire all of us, their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, their congregants, and all of those whose lives they touch, in good health and in happiness. Ad Mea Ve'esrim Shana, Mazel Tov, and thank you.
At this time, first of all, I would like to thank Rabbi Bruce for the wonderful words. On behalf, I'm sure, of Rabbi Burak as well. At this time, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our Alderman of Ward 7, Mike Feldman, and most especially of the Mayor of North York, Your Worship, Mel Lastman. I'll get to that. Now I want to point out that although we sent some literature to the Mayor's office months and months ago, in fact, he did respond with a letter in the Journal, which I hope you'll all take the time to read, because the Journal is not just a book of advertising, but it also has a history of the shul and many, many other things to see. But in any case, although he sent the letter months ago, I think the actual evening got lost in the shuffle, and when I called the Mayor's office, I think 2 days ago, to remind him that we had talked a few weeks ago about his coming, his secretary was quite surprised, didn't know anything about it, and said he's got 3 other functions. So I'd like to let him know that we very, very much appreciate that even at the last minute he took the time from his other functions to come and be with us. Especially since he's probably going to be the future mayor of the megacity here. I would ask Mayor Lastman to come up and make a presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Jessen. Ladies and gentlemen, rabbis, ladies and gentlemen, and my favorite counselor, Mike Feldman. Where are you, Mike? Oh. We're very fortunate that Mike Feldman is the counselor here. And ich will als es aus known, als ich kann speaking, I get Yiddish. But ich hab vergotten. Rabbi Jessen, I gotta be very nice to him. Hij heeft hier 4 brisses of my grandchildren. And ik hoop, als ik hoop 6, but 4 zijn boys. Ik hoop als ik hoop meer. Yeah. Because I know had gekend from the cottage. Which is very, very nice.
Don't tell them all I did this.
Oh, ich habe eine jüdische Story zu tellen. Du verstehst nicht mal Jiddisch? But the jüdische couple, wie sagt man couple? Lived point in London, England, during the Zweite World War. And the bombs haben gefallen, and it's a great Moshe mit Hilda, and Moshe hat gesagt, Hilda hat gesagt zu Moshe, Moshe, come fast, man darf laufen zu the air raid shelter. So Moshe hat gerannt, and suddenly it stopped. Hilda sagt, for what stops you? Moshe sagt, ich hab vergessen mein Teeth. So Hilda says, was stopped the Zähne? Da trafen Bombs, nicht Sandwiches. For your 110th anniversary, I hope my Yiddish gets better. I'll practice that. But I want you to know that Mike Feldman will get taught to speak Yiddish. Counselor Mike Feldman. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here tonight to bring greetings and well wishes from the council and from all the citizens of the city of North York. Here's a synagogue that's 100 years old. You moved from Toronto up to North York, where our Jewish community was moving, and now, without even relocating, you're back in Toronto. Verstehe ich schon nicht. This is what our government can do. So, as of January the 1st, you're back in Toronto, and you're not even moving. Oh yeah, I have a story. I gotta tell you. Marilyn and I were being interviewed on that airplane in Yiddish. Airplane, no. Do you know how to say cup in Yiddish? This, a cup. No, it's not a cup. There's no word for cup in Yiddish. I've been checking around and nobody can tell me the word for cup. A shul? A shul is wie over here in a shul. Is shul, Rabbi, tell me, is shul the right word? It's close? Yeah, it's close. Okay, Marilyn and I were being interviewed on national television. I've been married to Marilyn now for 43 years. It's going to be 44 years very soon. No applause for this. And we were being interviewed, and the interviewer was talking about my favorite topic, Marilyn's spending. And the interviewer says to Marilyn, Marilyn, what would you do if Mel lost all his money? This is the truth, so help me. She immediately said, I would still love him, but I'd sure miss him. Honest, this happened on national television, on CBC. I couldn't stop laughing. For the first time in my life, I was speechless. I couldn't say anything. All I could do was laugh. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here and to tell you that it's 100 years that this shul has been in existence. And Rabbi Burak, you've been here for 35 years. You know, that's beautiful. And you have the stamina of a North York mayor. For me, it's going to be 25 years. And you've led this synagogue through great things, and you've donated an ambulance to Israel. You've raised funds for war veterans, and your example is just great. May the Beth Jacob continue to grow. May you continue to do well, and may we all be here for your 110th anniversary. And I'd like to present this scroll on behalf of the citizens of the city of North York, the mayor, and members of council. Extend warmest wishes and congratulations to Beth Jacob congregation on the occasion of your 100th anniversary. And the next one, you're going to do a good job.
And now enjoy your salad, which is coming.
Distinguished co-chairman, Dr. Jason, Mr. Caroli, my dear friend and colleague, Rav Rabonis Burak, Rav J. Burak, Telman, Associate Rav, distinguished guest of honor, Rav Beryl Wine, President, and together with Mr. Joseph, all the other presidents that are being honored today. It's indeed a special pleasure and privilege to be able to share with you today's outstanding occasion to celebrate the centenary of the Polish Yeshiva, and at the same time to give tribute to my dear friend and all of our good friends, Rav Burak Shlita. I think that I probably have the most difficult task here tonight. I've been asked to give a tribute to a colleague who has served the Jewish community elsewhere, especially in Toronto, for a good part of that centenary. He's been teaching, instructing, guiding, and inspiring close to 70 years. And I'm supposed to confine that to 7 minutes. I'll be able to say, as did the Kohen Gadol of Yom Kippur, Yoisa mimashu kerosi litneichem kosov kan. I'm still holding a Chulei Shabbos, and in the Seder of this past Shabbos, we read of the mitzvah of kindling the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. The Chachamim say, Ner Marovi Eidus Hileboy Oilam Shashchina Shoyde B'Yisroel. The western light, wherever it is located, but the light, the west light of the menorah, bears testimony to the fact that the Shekhinah dwells amongst our people. And to quote you from the Ksaf Sofer, probably the most convincing proof of the existence of Hashem Yisborach and his control of the affairs of man is Am Yisrael. The Novi declares, Atem Eidain Hashem, we have the living testimonies throughout history to God's intervention and direction of the course of history. And amongst Am Yisrael, it is the Chochem par excellence who serves as the testimony for them as to what the Torah teaches and demands of us. And the Gemara says regarding the Ner Marovi, Shemimenu hoyu maschil uvoi hoyu mesayim. There the Kohen began taking them to kindle the menorah, and with that he concluded. The Seifer explains that is symbolic of the Chochem, who has so much wisdom and illumination and edification to impart. He is the source of the knowledge, and he gives it so generously to all of those round about. But he is also the beneficiary, because after all the Chachamim tell us, Metalmida yoisa mikolam, from my disciples I received the most enrichment. And in a way, in a capsule, this describes Haraburak Shlita, a person who is always ready to sit down and to learn. At the Bezdin, we have people coming, many of them ignorant. He'll take out the Sefer, he'll show them the source, and he teaches with such love and with such great persuasion. I go back to the time, quite a number of years ago, my first experience in meeting Haraburak Shlita. I was in the early teens. We had just come to the community of Toronto, and the occasion was the annual banquet of Talmud Torah Eitz Chaim. And at the podium there stood a young, articulate, reverend gentleman, and he spoke with his flowing rhetoric and in his mellifluous voice. Afterwards I had the occasion to talk to him, and he said to me, it was a lot of Yiddish spoken, of course. He'd addressed me as Ir. I said, you need to say Ir? So he said, my Rosh Yeshiva taught me that even the youngest person, everyone is addressed Ir. You give honor and respect to each and every individual. And in a sense, this is what Haraburak exemplifies throughout all his years. A rabbi's rabbi, and I must tell you that whenever we have an occasion to meet, and we require somebody to present on short notice a Dvar Torah, whom else would one turn to except, of course, to Haraburak. This goes back a long time. I understand that in Yeshiva's Ner Yisroel, when he was still a student, the Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Ruderman, Zechayne Levrocha, would sometimes come over to him and say, Hey Moshe, say probably Kum Moshe. We have to have a spot talk on the radio on behalf of the yeshiva. Took him into the car, let's go. Without any chance of preparation, and unfazed, of course, he presented a beautiful vignette. But apart from that, he is also an exemplary scholar who is fearless, who will challenge, if necessary, the statement of Daily Yisrael as well, and will say, let us see the sources. Let us see on what basis a certain psak is issued. And at the same time, he never insists on kabladati, but as a chaver amongst chaverim, will go with achrei rabim lahatois, and at the same time always express clearly and articulately his view. And of course, the other side of the picture is the kindness and compassion that he always shows towards his fellow. The very teaching of Torah is, of course, an expression of Torah's chesed al-Shoina, this beautiful seminal work on the Sam Sefer, which in a way was the role model that he adopted for himself. And simply work as a chaplain in his Benot Lachveiroi, his wise counseling to all our in need, a truly compassionate nature. And of course, he also serves as a role model in another sphere. In the wonderful home that he and the Rebbetzin have built up, which is truly a model of how two people work together, cooperate, complement one another, and have imparted of their wisdom and of their love to their children who follow in the same path. Serves as a model within the community. I'm going to keep to my limit. At the conclusion of the Seder, we read of Ende de Meidot, Misnabim B'Machane, who were prophesying in the camp. Not too complimentary things about Moshe Rabbeinu. And Yeshua, the loyal retainer of Moshe, his disciple, took up cudgels on behalf of his master. Adoni Moshe Klum. And Moshe then expressed those eternal words. Hamekame Atovi, Umi Yiten B'chol Am Hashem Neviim, Ki Yiten Hashem Es Ruchei Aleim. Are you zealous on my behalf? You say that there are challenges, that there are competitors. There are no challenges, there are no competitors. We are all working in the same direction. Would that all the Am Hashem should be prophets, if only he will pour out his spirit upon them. And this is the approach and has been the philosophy of Rav Burak Shlita throughout the years that I know him. It's interesting, the Medrash says that ultimately this vision of Moshe shall be fulfilled. The Novi Yoel declares, "Vayomehi esh boiches ruchi al kalboso, v'nibu b'neichem uv'noisechem, zikneichem chaloimos yechloimu, u'bachareichem chazyoinos yiru." Hashem says he will pour out his spirit on all flesh. The elders and the children will prophesy. This is the vision for which Rav Burak has fought, struggled, and sacrificed all his years. And I want to wish him and the Rebbetzin that in Yetz Hashem, O Yilubim, the Sevo, the Sheinem Rananim Yiyu, that into hoary old age, Hashem should bless them with health, with happiness, and that he should continue to inspire his audience. Let's see the fulfillment of this vision of was Eshboich is Ruchi al Kol Bosa, we should all be zoiche to the Bias Goyim in Heiber Omet.
Especially since, as you pointed out, when I called him, he said he couldn't possibly speak about Rabbi Burak in such a short time. And I acknowledged that this was true, and in fact I pointed out to him that even if I gave him 20 minutes, it wouldn't be enough. So we just had to choose an arbitrary time, and I want to thank him for staying close to that time. At this time, I would ask our honoree, Rabbi Moshe Burak, to come and give a response.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished Rabbanim, officers, President of the congregation and all his officers, and all who have come here to join us at this very, very significant moment in our time. I'm grateful to Rav Ox Shlita for all his kind words. It is a sign of a person that what he has close at hand, he throws. Those who sit on rocks throw rocks. Those who sit surrounded by flowers will throw the flowers, say roses. And so as he dwells in great honor and at the very highest level of Jewish thinking, studying, practice, he has thrown me some very wonderful bouquets of roses this evening. They show the spirit, the generosity of his heart, and I thank him for it. I'm grateful to the officers who have brought this celebration about, because it has brought together my whole clan, Vivenzach, Baruch Hashem. Except for my son-in-law, the Rebbe, who, of course, living in Israel, must attend only such functions as which there's a mechitza, wall, to separate the men from the women. What can I do? What can he do? So that's the rule of the protocol, and that's the way a Rebbe behaves. No, his father-in-law is a rabbi, has to act at another level. But we do have his representative in my grandson, Rabbi Yechiel Becker, who just happened to be in New York at the wedding of a brother-in-law, an Israeli brother-in-law. And consequently, he is able to join us. And for this, I owe you a thank you. So you arranged it so conveniently to coincide with a simcha from a collateral branch of our family. How shall I give thanks unto the Lord for the years that he has given me? Baruch Hashem. Years in which I have served the Jewish community, years in which it has been my privilege to serve in a number of congregations, and all of them treated me nicely. A few simple facts about me. It was on a Monday that I received my smicha from my Rebbe's hand. On the same day I went to the tailor to receive my very special outfit, which in those days was a stylishly designed something that fitted right over the belly button was where it came, and then it separated itself to become a sort of a swallowtail, as it were. This will cling to your body, he said, and it did. It did at a very nice price. On Wednesday, on Tuesday night, I got on a plane for the 17-hour ride to Toronto. On Wednesday I arrived. On the same day the wheels were set forward that I should speak at the Anshe England, the Hebrew men of England, on Spadina Avenue. That Shabbos I gave my drasha and was forthwith elected, of course, there were no ballots or anything, I was forthwith elected the rabbi of the synagogue. I expected, of course, to receive a check at the end of the week. Then I thought maybe they don't pay every week, they'll pay every 2 weeks. Then I didn't get my check at 2 weeks. And I found out that apparently they were enjoying the sampling. They wanted to know, did this man have only one good sermon, or can he come through with a few more? And apparently, having supplied them 4 drushes that were okay, they took it for granted that they could start paying me. And so there I was, and I became a Rav at a very tender age. It was a closely guarded secret what my age was. I had a substantial mustache, which aged me considerably. And this led on to other troubles, you see. Soon people were looking for callous for me. I had some very unhappy moments in that phase. There was a gentleman in this city who decided to import the collar for me. I think he was importing her for his own pocket and pecuniary advantage. When the lady arrived, she was at least 10 to 15 years older than I was. But as a gentleman, I had to go through with it. Not only that, I had to take her to some eatery, a kosher eatery, and Sahalitzoris, my cousins were in there. And when they saw what had happened to me, they wondered, was this Rabbi Meshuggah? But the answer is, I wasn't Meshuggah, it was the arranger who was Meshuggah. And he wasn't Meshuggah, he was a sly fox. He brought the lady down a second time, and I had to take her out a second time, Sahalitzoris. And then, a couple of months later, her father phoned up and said to me, what's happening? I said, nothing is happening. To which he said, oh, there, Schwindler! That Schwindler is telling me that we're going to have a chasana real quick. I said, sorry. He said, I'm cutting off his credit. You see, that was a wholesaler. He was a merchant here. And he was getting all kinds of, oh, Gewalt, was that beautiful. Anyhow, after a few experiences like that, you can understand that when I met Toby in her house, some Rav arranged that there should be a meeting for Vada Ezra, as it was called. There was Vada Tzala, was set up by the Litvaks, and Vada Ezra was set up to duplicate and say the Litvikas were worrying only about Litvikas. We've got to worry about Polish Yidden, Hungarian Yidden, other Yidden, and so on and so forth. And the meeting took place in the house of Rubinstein, a well-known Toronto firm. And that was the start of a beautiful friendship, as they say, in the modern lingo. Well, that's when some troubles developed. As soon as we were engaged, my father-in-law gets a chat from somebody, and it goes like this. House Rubinstein, wie is dein Kopf? Shall I act like Mr. The Mayor did, and shall I translate? But I think, nevertheless, House Rubinstein, where is your head? So what's wrong? I thought. So the oudste Tochter, a young Tochter, 18, 19 years old in hersens. You have a young daughter, 18, maybe 19. Says, Geist is a Kassene, machen Sie einen alten Bock von 35 Jahren. You're going to marry her off to an old buck who's 35 years old? Wie down cup, where's your head? All right. He's an educated man. Granted, he's an educated man. All right, he's a rabbi. Aber als ein Kind ist der Kassene, machen Sie einen alten Bock. As I heard, and as my father-in-law reported the conversation to me, I saw he didn't want to believe it. But the man is talking so seriously. It's almost, how can you not believe such words spoken so disinterestedly? So I quickly slid out from my wallet all the data concerning my life, and he saw then that I was etlich and 20 years old, 20-odd years, not too old. By the mustache made me 35, as they said, but the rest of me was a great deal younger. And after that, that's, by the way, that's how sometimes it's good to look young, and sometimes it's not so good to look young. Sometimes you need to look old. The rabbit that binds you ages a man quite successfully. Although I knew one rabbi who had a beard, who had a magnificent beard, and one day he arrived and was in Washington, and I see no beard. I said to him, Rabbi Dubrow, what happened to your beard? He said, it's gone. I said to him, gone? Everybody can see it's gone. Why? He says, I'll tell you. From all sides I began to hear, Rabbi Dubrow, when are you going to retire? So he said, so I said, why should I retire? He said, Rabbi Dubrow, you're so old. How do you know that I am old? He says, your beard is so white. He says, yeah. So after I decided if it has to be a choice between my beard and between my job, off goes the beard. And he said, now nobody is telling me you've got to retire. No, nobody is hinting that I need to retire. If it's a choice between my beard and my parnasa, my livelihood, my career, now I'm back in the swing with it. This is not a sales pitch for a barber to come and cut my beard, please. This shul is Bet Yaakov. Bet Yaakov is, as you hear, 100 years old. For a shul that's 100 years old, I'm still young enough. For your sympathy. But it's all right. As I've said to Rabbi Kilman, I want him to be a great success. I want him to be more than successful, so that he will do all the work and I will spend my time gallivanting around, you see, all over the world. You saw my far-flung empire. And I have this year coming up a bar mitzvah to attend Taki in Johannesburg. And then with Gottes Hill in Zog, there is a plan to go and have a look at Eretz Yisrael. My people are all over the world, and I've got to keep an eye on them. And I want them, therefore, to be an immense success. And I want all of you to give him your love and your affection and your understanding. He has much Torah inside of him. Although sometimes it takes it a little easy when I would want him to take it differently. For instance, I don't see the need to learn Pirkei Avos all every night in Mizrach. Mishnayos was what we used to learn every night at Bisinkale. But anyhow, that's sometimes is just exhausted. I can understand. With all the work involved with this dinner, I can understand that he needed a lighter approach to the realities. But he is learning with Balabatan things that Balabatan never learned. And you'll see soon that the UJA is going to give him a medal, because he's learning with him the laws of Matnas and Yim, how much you have to give. You know, there's in the Jewish code how much you have to give. And he's learning this every morning, and believe it or not, a group is gathering every morning, and they sip a little orange juice, and they take a little nibble at something, but they're hearing how much a Jew has to give, and it's almost frightening how much a Jew has to give. It almost, as it says, apparently I'm lucky that I don't attend those sessions. You see? Otherwise I would have to empty my pockets forthwith, and I'm a guy who always holds a few bucks in his pockets, you know, like the guy who didn't trust the bank, so he always kept it in his pocket. So I would be in great danger. But I do thank him for reminding people of the needs to be generous and of the great beauties that there are all over. Rabbi Oxley chose the very same pasuk that I was going to darshan on. Now, this is not a matter of one's upmanship, as it were. He will forgive me if I say a little piece on the same Eldad U'Medad. You see, Eldad U'Medad say to Moshe Rabbeinu, lock him up. Moshe, you've sort of got two competitors here. They were talking Nevi'us, they were prophesying. They were saying things that were disturbing, actually. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, Amikana Tali, which were the words that you heard from Rabbah. And he went on and said, Niyitein, oh, would that God would give everybody this increase. Amma, let all of them be Nevi'im, let all of them be prophets. And that would be okay with me. The discussion between Yehoshua and Moshe Rabbeinu's answer is a bit complicated. It's a bit hard. And the way I understand it, the way I would like to understand it, and for you to understand it, is in this way. Nevi'im, prophets, rise in the clarity of their vision in the same way as when a number of doctors are working in the same field, the field expands, is clarified, and improved. A heart operation, when it was performed for the first time, took endless hours. Now the operation is being done so routinely and so regularly, and has been so refined and modified, that it's being done in a much shorter period of time. The skills have been honed so finely that it makes for a much better operation. Kainos only doubting that nobody should be proved, nobody should have to go through this, but definitely there are so many lives that are being saved because of the immense skills that have developed in this field. You notice it in other fields. Say runners. Runners are running and desperately trying to see how fast a mile can be run. And there was a time when there was a certain measure, and it stood fast for years until one person broke that barrier. And once he broke that barrier, others could break the barrier. It was easier, and suddenly the 4-minute mile was going down, and that was no longer the measure. And so it is in the fields of Torah and in the field of godliness. There was a time when a rabbi addressed his congregation. It was such a complicated matter that he presented to them that it was acceptable and understandable only to scholars. But it testified to the scholarly world in which the rabbis of those days lived, that there were rabbis who delivered those immense lectures that became whole books. A Shabbos Hagadol Drasha or a Shabbos Tshuva Drasha could become a whole sefer in the hands of these masters, and learned people flocked to hear their words. As this disappeared, this scholarship in the masses disappeared, the nature of the rabbinic address became changed. We developed oratory, speakers, orators, good witzen, good masses, good stories, ahin and aher, and the Torah became less and less. This is a great failure in a way. Lord Rosebery in his Miscellanies makes the following statement. It's a quotation. Nations are built up in silence. Their addiction to oratory is usually a sign of decadence. It's a thought. There you have it. And so, shall I give you more preaching, as it were, or shall I follow this example? Let us build in silence. Let us build the world of Torah. 100 years old is a wonderful age for a synagogue. For an old man, 100 years is already overbottled. You know, the way that Derek counts it. Then Shmoinim to this, then Tishim to this, and then Neah. Ben Meah is all finished and over with, but an institution that is 100 years old has weathered every conceivable crisis, and having come through that, is ready to sail on blithely into the next century with greater accomplishments and greater skill. I must pay tribute to the presidents of this shul from the past, to Louis Waxman, who was the one who built the shul, Olav Shalom. Alas, that he was called away from us too soon. To Robert Rosen, Zichrona Livracha, who was a remarkable man, a wonderful man. By the way, all the raises that I was supposed to get in my contract and never got, he saw to it, he knew how to read what it said in my contract. And after he read it, when he became president, suddenly, I began to breathe more relaxedly. And thanking God. Alas, that he passed away. I should add that this wasn't just his one way. The first parlor meeting for Kolel Dat and the first financial drive for Kolel Dat took place in his home. We miss that man, and I hope that from above he will make some good moves, that we see Nachath in his grandchildren in Merz Hashem, that they will rise to appreciate that heritage that was part of the life of Robert and Helen Rosen. I feel we have a remarkable president in Mr. Joseph, who after the davening every morning goes into the office and sits down and writes receipts and makes out a bank deposit if it's possible, and watches the finances of the shul as they need to be guarded. I once had a shul that every president wanted to build an extension in order to put his name on it. So one had an extension that became a basketball court. Good. And then the other one decided that the basketball court was no good, and who needs a basketball court? So the idea was to make 2 auditoriums out of it for Hasanis, so that he could put his name. And then when they were short of funds, they called me in and asked me what I thought about the financial shape of the synagogue. And I said, gentlemen, considering the way you're running it, it's the healthiest business in the world. In any other field, the institution would have been bankrupt, and we're still afloat, thanking God. Boy, that didn't exactly bring me the love and admiration of that oilam, I think, who were looking for my neck. But thanking God, over here we have a president who has a due respect for the facts of life, and I think that he has imparted some of his spirit to the 2 co-chairmen who are the driving forces and the leaders of this financial drive. But by golly, they are accountable. The money is being banked and it's signed, it's sealed, it's salted away, and in Yirtz Hashem, and I'm sure that they're going to be equally careful as to what is done. And this, I think, is part credit must be due to Rabbi J. Kelman, who has surrounded himself with young people. And although the 2 co-chairmen are Canine Hora, not exactly babies, because they can start thinking, soon we will start thinking about children to marry off in Yirtz Hashem. You know that. And you know you may have to have a look at some fellow and decide, he's 35 years old, and what's he doing here? Don't deal with anything like that, although I think the children will take care of these matters on their own very well and very successfully. I salute the chairman, and I give thanks to all of you, and I've cut out most of the Torah that I was going to say, and I suggest that with the effect of this dinner should be an infusion of enthusiasm from old members and new members old friends and new friends, together let us build the Beth Jacob. The Beth Jacob needs to have its brotherhood rebuilt. For many years there was my good friend Mr. Vogel, Mr. Parker, and others before them. This is another wing that needs rebuilding. And then between brotherhood and sisterhood, under their able leadership, and you see what they have done for the shul, with their love and their devotion, with all the motors working, Beit Yaakov lechu v'neilcha b'yor Hashem. Let us walk in the light of God. Amen.
Years for our next celebration. Now, I'd like to ask the Rabbi and the Rebbetzin to come forward. We'd like to make a small presentation of a gift to them. The Rabbi has promised
Stay in front of the lens.
to travel so much that we're afraid he may forget us. So what we decided to do was to give him something that no matter what, once a week you'll have to think about the people at the Beth Jacob Synagogue. So we'd like to present him with this. It's a silver colored tray, so at least you know on Shabbos he'll think of us. And it's inscribed, presented to Rabbi and Rebbetzin Burak, an appreciation by the Beth Jacob Anshe Drildz congregation, June 26, 1997, and we all wish them to use this at Me'ah B'Esrim Shabbat. That's to share, and this is just something a little special for the Rebbetzin, because she definitely does deserve it.
Well attended. If you want to hear more of the cousin, every Shabbat, 9 o'clock, upstairs. At this time, I would call upon our Associate Rabbi Jay Kelman to introduce our guest speaker. This will be immediately followed by the presentations to the honorees, so please don't leave.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the co-chairman Aaron and Sruli, the entire dinner committee for their hard work. I want to give a special thanks to my mother-in-law who spearheaded the whole program, who coordinated it. Really, without her help, this was not a job of nepotism. Believe me, it was. I think she really was the most qualified person. I really want to thank her publicly for the endless nights, and to thank Ilana, who not only didn't have her husband, she also didn't have the use of her mother for a long time. So just want to thank everybody publicly. Of course, a special thanks and a tribute to Rabbi Burak, who's been so warm and welcoming of me and really allowing me to try to grow and develop within the shul. And I want to thank him publicly for all of his help. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here as we celebrate our 100th anniversary. I'm sure most of you know I grew up in the neighborhood just a few short blocks away, and I don't think anybody would have thought that I'd one day be the rabbi of any shul, let alone here in Beth, maybe in Beth Emes, I don't know, but in Beth Jacob. And it's really, but the ties to the shul really go back a long time. My father and Rabbi Burak are longtime friends and colleagues. They're very, very close. My father has mentioned to me many times how, of all the rabbis in the city, he feels a special connection and closeness with Rabbi Burak. They've been very good neighbors and close friends, and I hope I'm continuing in the same path, and I'll also am developing my relationship with Rabbi Burak. Also, it's honor, my grandmother, who is here with us tonight, got married in the Henry Street Shul in January of 1931. So it's a pleasure that my grandmother's here with us. And actually her parents, my great-grandparents, were very involved in the founding and the beginning of the Polish Shul going back many, many years ago. So really I'm just a link in the chain of connection into the shul. The main theme of this week's Parsha, Shlach Lecha, is really the circuitous route of Jewish history. That while we were supposed to enter into Israel 11 days after leaving Egypt, soon after Matan Torah, we had a 40-year delay. And while we had a 40-year delay, ultimately we arrived. We do arrive in Eretz Yisrael. And the Parsha, therefore, right after the whole story of the Meraglim, continues with laws that only apply in the land of Israel, as if to tell us not to worry, that ultimately our destiny will come to fruition, and the Jewish people have a lot to offer. We have it's a long route, and often we take steps forwards, and backwards again, but ultimately with hard work we reach our destination. And what is true on a national level is true on a local level too, in building a shul and building a community. It's a long route, there's a lot of work, and often it doesn't go the straight and narrow, but ultimately with hard workers and a sincere effort, it comes to a fruition, and this I hope should apply in our community and in all communities. And there's no one really better who understands this than our guest speaker, Rabbi 3 highly acclaimed books on Jewish history, and which really have which cover the entire scope, which show not only the trials and tribulations of the Jewish people, but also the triumph of survival of the Jewish people. And Rabbi Wein, besides having a great interest in history, of course serves as the Rav in Muncie. He's been there for over 20 years. He's author of a number of Sfarim, is author of the book, or in his name, Vintage Wine, and he's the author of a weekly newsletter, Wine Press. I don't have such a name that I can author such activities. And on a personal level, I have a special admiration for Rabbi Wein. Rabbi Wein, before entering the rabbinate, had served as a lawyer for 9 years. And having served as an accountant, still work as an accountant, I think it gives him, and hopefully myself, a unique perspective on the issues that face the average person, the common working person. And in that sense, I use Rabbi Wein as a role model. He's an excellent speaker, an accomplished author, an accomplished rabbi. He'll be making Aliyah next month, where he'll be becoming the Rav of the Beit Knesset HaNasi in Yerushalayim. So all those who are visiting on Yeshishkin Street, you can go and see him. He and his wife are the parents of 4 children, and Kanai Nahor are 27 grandchildren. So without further ado, got the biggest applause. Without further ado, I present Rabbi Wein.
Delivered a wonderful sermon lasting about 45 minutes on the great ideas of the holiest day of the calendar, ideas of repentance, of tshuva, of holiness, of spirituality, of eternity. When the services were over and everybody came up to wish each other a good year, a man approached the rabbi and he said to him, "My name is such and such." And he said, "I'm the producer of the McNeil-Lehrer News Hour," which in the United States is a very famous news hour every night on public television. He said, "Rabbi, that message that you delivered, that 45-minute sermon on spirituality and repentance," he said, "do you think you could condense it into 2 or 3 minutes?" So the rabbi thought, and he had visions of himself having a soundbite on public television, witnessed by tens of millions of people in the United States. So he said, yes, he said, I think I could do so. To which the man said, "Then why didn't you?" I am of a mind to do so here tonight, my friends. The hour is late. But the occasion is important. The last century, which this shul is witness to, has been the bloodiest century in human history. Over 120 million people have been done to death by war and by governments, by failed ideas, by all sorts of brutality and criminality that in our time are lethal simply because of the technology that we possess. In the ancient world, if you wanted to kill people, you had to do it by hand. So you got tired by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You couldn't do it anymore. But we live in a world that the technology operates without stop, without any sign of fatigue. The gas chambers did not get tired. We also live in a time when all of the great ideas of Western civilization of the 18th and 19th centuries lie shattered at our feet. All of the empires that entered this century when this shul was founded are now all on the ash heap of history. And Western civilization and humanity generally is empty of unafraid, alone. And therefore we pursue our toys and our goods and look for solace in material things, which is somewhat akin to drinking salt water. And we are full but not satiated. And I think, therefore, if we look at this century and of the 100 years of a shul, and if we look at the rabbonis of Rabbi and Rebbetzin Burak, we can see in a microcosm one of the great ideas of the Torah, a lesson that I feel is important to each and every one of us. Jews have a blessing. God told us a formula for blessing. If you want to bless someone, Kos Vorchu as Bnei Yisrael. This is the blessing that you should say. Emor lahem, say to them. And this blessing here in the exile is repeated by the Kohanim on the holidays. In the Holy Land of Israel, it is repeated daily by the Kohanim. And even if there are no Kohanim, it is repeated by the Chazan when he repeats the Amidah service. 3 verses. Yivorechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and guard you. Yoher Hashem pono veilecha v'chuneka. May God cause His countenance to shine upon you, and may He give you grace. Yisro Hashem pono veilecha v'yoseim lecha shalom. May God raise His countenance towards you and give you the blessing of peace. Our rabbis teach us, the Balaturi mentions it in the Parsha, that the first blessing is that of our father Abraham. Yivorechecha Hashem, may the Lord bless you. Because God told our father Abraham, He told Avram Avinu, Ve'yeh brocha, you will be a blessing to all of humanity. Bavorcha mevorachecha, those who bless you will be blessed. Blessings are a wonderful thing. We're the most blessed generation in the history of exile in terms of material wealth, in terms of freedom. And the Jews who live in North America live in a gilded ghetto that was unimaginable 100 years ago. I'm not an expert on how the Canadian Jewish world looks, but it's not far different, I am certain, than the one in the United States of America. In the United States of America, out of 100 senators, 10 are Jewish. Out of 435 members of the House of Representatives, 35 are Jewish. Out of 11 members of the cabinet, 4 are Jewish. Aside from 2 who are Jewish halachically, but not in practice. Out of 9 members of the Supreme Court, 2 are Jewish. The entire medical profession, over 30% are Jewish. The legal profession, over 1/3. The media, Wall Street, the entertainment industry, the newspapers. Yivorechecha Hashem. The Lord has blessed us. He's blessed us with wealth, with homes, with material goods, that if our great-grandparents could rise and look at us today, they would not believe it. The founders of the Polish Shul, of Henry Street, the peddlers, the rag dealers, the people who were in the used bottle business, who put together penny to penny, would be amazed to see their great-grandchildren. University graduates, professionals, people of stature and substance. mayor that may eventually learn how to speak. One language well. Hashem. The Lord has blessed us. But all the blessings that God gives to us are contingent upon our doing something. God doesn't need Kohanim to bless. He doesn't need human intermediaries. But the Lord commanded us, you have to do something. V'somu eshmi al b'nei Yisrael v'ani avorachem. If you'll do something, then I'll bless you. And therefore the second half of the blessing, v'yishmerecha, that God said, I will guard you, that's up to us. We have a lot, but it's not very well guarded. All of our assets go into a great sack that have a large hole at the bottom. We lose our children and our grandchildren in numbers that in the history of the exile never has happened. A second Holocaust perpetrated by Jews on Jews. Ignorance. The abandonment of a heritage. Rashi says, V'yishmerecha Shema yavo listim alecha. Robbers will come to you in the middle of the night and steal from you. And we are being picked clean, robbed. We have to guard ourselves. That's the idea of a synagogue. That's what a shul is here. The shul is not here for Yivarechecha. The shul is here for Yishmerecha. The shul is our guard. It's our security. It keeps us in perspective. It teaches us what it will look like later. Rabbi Kelman introduced me as a grandfather. That's my highest title in life, I want to tell you, my friends. And since I've become a grandfather, Baruch Hashem, many times over, so my greatest goal in life is that my grandchildren should have a high opinion of me. So I started to behave myself. Because I want that they should think that, their Zayda was a... People think that grandparents have an obligation to leave wealth to grandchildren. That's not true. It's not one of the 613 commandments of the Torah. I had a grandfather that was a Rav in Chicago. So I remember one of my vivid memories of my childhood is that when my grandfather died, and I was in the house, and my mother, Aleh Shalom, was sitting Shiva, Steingedacht, together with my aunt of blessed memory. So my aunt told my mother, she said, Pa had an insurance policy. The first time in my life I ever heard the word. He had a $10,000 insurance policy. In the early 1940s, $10,000 was money. So together they were planning, right? My mother said, we'll have money to send Beryl to college. And my aunt was going to send her daughter to college, and it would be money. My father was getting paid $30 a week. And then I remember that one day, my mother came home and she told my father that they got a notice from the insurance company that my Zayda had borrowed $9,800 against the policy. And the $9,800, the check was made out to the Vad HaHatzoleh. Was made out to save Jews from Europe. So I have nothing from my Zayda. I have his pocket watch, which I've given to one of my grandsons. And I have the top of his silver-handled rabbinic cane. and I have his pipe, and I have a few svarim, but I have my Zayda. On a bad day, and there are days in the rabbinate that are plenty tough, my friends. I have my Zayda. Yishmerecha. See, I can spend $10,000 in a minute, and then I'd be angry at him why he didn't leave me 20. Yishmerecha. To guard the bracha. That's what a shul is. That's what a rav is. That's what Torah is. And so that when we put everything into the sack, it doesn't have a hole at the bottom. Yoir Hashem pono veilecho vichuneko. So the Balaturim says that's Yitzchak. Our father Yitzchak lay on the altar dead. And the Rabbanu Shalom Kaviyochel revived him. And that's the idea of Yoer. Tchias HaMeisi. The revival of the dead. Well, our generation is Yoer Hashem Pono Veilecha. There still is a Jewish people. 50 years after the Holocaust, there still are Jews. There's a Jewish state. Our great-grandparents would have walked across Europe in the snow barefoot to see any Jewish state. Mir warfen sich mit us. We don't know what to do with it. Don't know how to appreciate it. Don't understand what happened to us. We're cut off the altar. We were dead 50 years ago. Broken. The second half of the bracha of Vichuneko, to give you grace, chen. We don't have chen in the world. The Swiss say we're money-grubbing Jews. The Torah world reels from scandal after scandal. The Jewish state, the politics, the statements. Where's the chen? You have to have chen if people want to be like you. In the United States, everybody wants to be Michael Jordan. They're willing to spend $200 on a pair of shoes to be just like Mike. Why doesn't somebody want to be just like me? Or like Rabbi Burek? Why doesn't someone want to be the Rambam, or Rashi? Where's our chen? We became a nation of what? No one has a good word to say anybody else. Only throw stones. A little chen, a little niceness. Ponim tzochakos, a smile, a little warmth, a little of the goodness that's inherent in each and every one of us. And that's a shul. And that's a rav. A shul has chen. It's an indefinable quality. The shul is more pious than any of its members. The shul reflects the beauty that is part of our tradition and heritage and description of ourselves. Yisa Hashem pono veilecha. So the Balaturim says, Yisa is Yaakov. It says, Vayisa Yaakov raglo. Yaakov is Golus. Exile. We've taken a long trip. 27 years. Been everywhere. And somehow God brought us home. Against all odds. Against all predictions. Against we ourselves don't believe it. And Theodore Herzl, 100 years ago when he founded the Zionist movement. So in 1898 he went to Mikveh Yisrael, he went to the land of Israel to meet Kaiser Wilhelm II, the man that touched off the destruction of civilization which has been the 20th century. And he had this fantastic scheme that somehow he was going to get the Kaiser to help build the Jewish state. Herzl was an assimilated Jew from Vienna. So Herzl, in his great pamphlet, Das Judenstaat, when he wrote his dream of the Jewish state, so he said the official language in the Jewish state would be German. And that the city of Jerusalem would be built like Vienna with a Ringstrasse. And the main building would be the Opera House. And then in his most fanciful dream, he said that all the members of the Jewish parliament would wear formal dress. I was reminded of that when I was in the Israeli Knesset, in the visitors gallery. So there is no decoration in the Israeli Knesset, all except for a picture of Herzl right in back of the speaker. And as one of the leading members of the Knesset got up to speak wearing his pajamas and sandals, and Herzl looked over his shoulder, you know, you can see God's irony. God has a sense of humor like no one else. All of life is ironic. So he went to see the Kaiser. And he told the Kaiser this fantastic plan that the Jews from Eastern Europe will move to the land of Israel, and it would begin, they would look for Germany to be their protector, being part of the great German Empire. The Kaiser told him, Herr Herzl, in order for there to be a Jewish state, all the major empires of the world will have to fall. The British Empire, the German Empire, the French Empire, the Russian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And Herr Herzl, you know that that is impossible. Kaiser was a prophet. Not one of the great empires is here, but the Jewish state is here. Yisa Hashem Ponav Elecha. God brought us home. Picked us up by the scruff of our neck and dropped us. But V'yosem L'cho Shalom, the second half of the bracha we don't have yet. We didn't earn it. We don't even know what to do about it. We don't even know what the right thing is. We don't know what to pray for. There's a famous story that the Baal Shem Tov once came to a synagogue and he sat in the back row, and an illiterate Jew came, didn't know how to pray, didn't know how to read Hebrew, didn't know anything. He came and he sat down next to him and he said, Rebbe, will daven, and I want to pray also. So the Baal Shem said to him, well, what do you know? You know, Asher, he doesn't know anything, nothing. Can't read, doesn't know anything. He said, well, what do you know? He said, I know the Aleph Bay. So the Baal Shem said, you say the Aleph Bay's in heaven, they'll put it together. That's us. Atov beinecha aseh. God, you put it together. We can't do it anymore. But we do know that we need you. V'yosem l'cho shalom. And that's also what a shul stands for. So we mark here a great event tonight. And the end of the century of the shul, in conjunction with the end of this century of blood and tears, of the destruction of humanity and human values. Ein lanu shiur ela haTorah hazos. Anyone that doesn't appreciate that the Jewish people are a people only because of Torah, that there's no such thing as any other form of Judaism except Torah, Einu Moseinu Umo Ela Batorah. Rabbeinu Saadia Gaon said it in the year 900. We are no people without Torah. We will not be a state without Torah. But if with Torah, the Somu is Shmi al B'nai Yisrael V'ani Avorachem, if they'll only put my name upon them, there's no shortage of blessings in God's treasury. Yad Hashem Tiktzor. We who have seen what has happened in this unbelievable century, can we have any doubts as to what God can and will do for us and for all of mankind? I therefore want to congratulate the Shul, its Marda Asra and his Rebbitzin, the famous Rabbi and Mrs. Burek, Rabbi and Mrs. Kelman, and the officers and all of those who have made not only this evening possible, but have made the 100 years possible. Chazal tell us that the synagogues and the yeshivot and the Batei Midrash that existed in the exile will all be rebuilt in the land of Israel. So this great shul, the Polish shul, Beth Jacob, will certainly find its home as well. And may the Lord bless us all with good health and happiness and Jewish nachas, with children and grandchildren. And we'll be zochet together to see Nechama Sion and Vinyan Yerushalayim. Amen.
I'd like to ask our President, Mr. Joseph, to thank our guest speaker.
Mr. Chairman, honored rabbis, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Joe Joseph, the president of the shul. I have served this congregation for many years in various capacities. When Pharaoh was in a good mood to talk to Moshe Rabbeinu, he asked this question, Mivu miya holchem? Who are those that you are to leave and have a celebration? And Moshe answered him with the famous words, V'nireinu u'v'skanenu ne'elav. We shall go with our youth and with our elders. Now that this is really the program for the Jewish people, the work that needs to be done cannot be carried out by one person alone. It requires a combined effort. For a long time we dreamed that our youth would arise and play their part. It finally come to pass with the Centenial celebration. Everybody pitched in, and it is obvious that we have a success story here. I congratulate all who worked very hard to bring us to this great day. Our synagogue is celebrating its first 100 years. Let us hope that the years ahead will be rich and rewarding in nachas, growth, and development. While a number of rabbis serve the congregation, it is Rabbi Burek who has been our Rav for over 25 years. He started as the Rav of Beth Jacob and it was on Henry Street. He came to this area when we were a basement congregation. The new shul was built only after he arrived here. Louis Waxman was the president who built it. We honor his memory and his achievement. With Rabbi J. Kelman as associate rabbi, with Jacob Anshe Drildz, look forward to years of achievement, coupled with growth and development. I am sure he is up for the challenge. I must give thanks to the chairman of this committee, to the professional staff, Mrs. Abrams, and all the workers who worked very hard to achieve this event. On my behalf, and my dear wife, family, and all the officers and board of governors of the shul, I'd like to take this opportunity and thank you all for your support. Come and go tonight and celebrate with us. Thank you very much.
We're going to try to conclude everything, but it's going to, we have a few more things on the agenda. No more long speeches or anything, but there are a couple of important things that have to be done. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Joseph for his kind words on behalf of all the workers and the dinner committee and all the people who did everything. But I also want to remember to thank Rabbi Wein for his wonderful talk regarding the synagogue and really for giving us encouragement to continue to build the synagogue, noting its importance in our lives. Yes. Also, just to give you a bit of the program so that you know what to look forward to, we have several presentations to do now, really to all our honorees and to the sisterhood of the shul who have been instrumental over the years in keeping the shul going. That will be followed by benching and then by Marek upstairs. Firstly, before we get to the honorees, on behalf of Surly and myself, I want to take an opportunity just to say a couple of words. About 7 months ago, when we started to think of the dinner, or actually we thought of it even before that, but when we finally decided that we better get going and put this thing together, I kind of made some mention at home that I was thinking of volunteering or agreeing to be a chairman for this dinner. I didn't get, and initially at least, I wouldn't say support. I didn't get too much encouragement to in fact go on with this silly idea. However, I told my wife, you know what, I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to get my friend Surly to help me. Well, she allowed me to go ahead, so for that I thank her. And I just want to say that through all these 6 months, for all the work and everything we had to do together, Surly and I are still the best of friends. So, it's just a point. I also, this evening could never have happened without, it's certainly not by any means the two of us. It could never have happened without all the help of all of the dinner committee, which you could read about in their journal. We pointed them out. If I went down to name them all, we would be in trouble. But I do want to take a moment just to recognize two we'll call volunteers of the year, and one on an administrative side for all the nights and mornings and evenings and really 24 hours a day. I think even this Sunday morning. This person left her home at, I think, 6 in the morning to spend the whole day typing. And this happened on numerous occasions, and that's Marlene Marcus, really, for all her administrative help with this event. And that's organization. On another side, the topless of this event was fundraising. And certainly everyone pitched in, Rabbi J. Kelman being the driving force, and everyone did their job. But again, to point out that one of our star performers in this effort, who basically once he got going on a daily basis, we always knew we would come to shul. Ted Markowitz would have a check or something for us. campus trip downtown. He never saw it. So thank you for that. And finally, the other thing that I want to say, when we started, when we naively thought that we could put this together, and I thought, it's not so hard. What's to do? You call the caterer, you send out a few invitations, and then you put together a list, and no problem. We collect a few $100,000. It's easy. Well, it wasn't easy, and not only was it easy, but we never would have been able to do it without the meticulous and capable help and organizational skills and attention to detail, which you see really in everything you look at in the presentation tonight. And on Shirley's and my behalf, I want to take the opportunity to publicly thank and make a presentation to Barbara Abrams, if she would come up please. Token of our appreciation, we couldn't have done it without you. I'm going to now ask Shirley to just give me the next part of the program.
This is a bit of a surprise to everybody, but we received the fax. Actually, I didn't receive. One of our members received the fax this morning from Israel and handed it to me and asked me if there was any way that we could read it. Okay, the people that it's addressed to have no idea what this is all about. It reads, to Rabbi and Reverend Burek, my beloved mother Blanche Schwartz, and the whole Beth Jacob congregation. I want to wish you all a hearty congratulations on your 100th birthday. May you continue to contribute to the growth and essence of the shul and congregation and the Jewish population of Toronto. Have a wonderful celebration. And on a personal note, Mummy, I want you to know that I'm extremely proud of you, even from afar, and I wish you much strength to continue to be the incredible mitzvah doer and person I and everyone admire and love. Your loving daughter, Cindy Alonim from Israel. Blanche, this is for you. Following that theme, you might have noticed in the hallway outside there's a new painting, quite a beautiful painting, that was done by Blanche's grandson. Well, I met this afternoon, never met him before, but I looked at him and said, you have a Schwartz pudding. Anyway, this painting was commissioned. It was asked to be done by him as a tribute to the Beth Jacob Sisterhood, which is led by Reverend Burek and Blanche Schwartz, who is the president. We want to acknowledge all the hard work that they put into beautifying the shul over the years. Okay, some of the additions and the renovations that they've done over the years include the renovation of the Beis HaMedrash, the granite floor in the downstairs lobby, the stained glass window of Purim, but in the main sanctuary is where they've done the most. Look at the floor, look at the ceiling, and look everywhere in between. You look at the carpets on the floor, the pillows on the benches, and the beautiful chandelier that hangs over the vault fillet. These all came from the sisterhood, and we thank them all for it. Okay, it's time that the membership acknowledged all the hard work that the sisterhood puts into the shul. Okay, we should give them back some tov for their efforts, and may they continue in their endless efforts on all of our behalfs. Thank you to the sisterhood. In honor of this occasion, seeing how we were honoring all of the past presidents of the shul, including the shul brotherhood and sisterhood, we commissioned a hand-drawn plaque or diploma, whatever you want to call it, for all of the past presidents. And I'd like to call upon past presidents of the sisterhood to come forward and collect theirs. These include Sylvia Schwartz, Blanche Schwartz, Faye Goldman, and Harriet Berlin. If they could please come forward. And not present tonight is Marcy Tenenbaum. Include, and I've asked them to come forward at this time, Harold Vogel and Ben Parker, and not present with us tonight is Moshe Weinless.
To make this presentation again to all the past and present presidents of the synagogue proper. By the way, the present president is also a past president, so he gets it on both accounts. I'd like to call up. Mr. Joseph Rosenthal. When you get your certificate, please stay up and get a picture at the end. Mr. Meyer Caroli.
Okay, hello.
Go shake his hand.
That's it.
And I'm not sure who this person is.
Caroli.
It's Ruli Caroli.
Ruli Caroli. Caroli. Mike. Mike. Okay. That's all of them.
Put your head down.
Cool. All of them.
I'd like to ask Aaron Rosen and Josh Silver to come up here and accept a certificate in memory of their late grandfather, Robert Rosen, who was really our president for many, many, many years, and he was in our hearts always the president. I'll never forget, as a young boy sitting on the board with him, he seemed to be grooming me for president, and he kept telling me, remember one thing, when you're president, and he never said if, but when you're president, always remember to keep in mind that you do what's good for the shul, not what's good for you. And during my tenure as president, I always thought of those words. Thank you to Robert.
Gentlemen. Wait a minute, that lady walk. Dat is de boot. Deze is. Kijk eens, snel.
Where were you born?
I just want to say that you also have certificates posthumously for all of our presidents going back as far as we could. So if you know any of the family or past presidents of the shul, you can let them know that we have certificates for
The last presentation, don't worry. As far as I know. I want to thank Aaron and Cerulean especially for the countless hours, the hard work that they have put in over the many months, and it's a pleasure. I've worked extremely closely with them over these past few months, and in honor of this occasion and their hard work and dedication, which I'm sure they'll continue to show in the shul and have shown in the past, I'd like to present them each with one of Rabbi Berewein's book on Jewish history. I figured that would be fitting for the occasion, so if Aaron and Cerulean can come up, please, and we'll give you your little presentations.
Slowly, moving close.
We weren't quite organized. There is one more presentation. We kind of left the best for last. In honoring Rabbi Burak, we gave him a gift. When you notice when it was given, we said this one is for you to share with your wife, and this is for your wife. But the honoree really is Rabbi Burak, although, as everyone knows, the Rebbitzin stands behind the rabbi and is a big reason why he's here today. However, it's only right that since we are honoring Rabbi Burak, that we do have a little gift just for him. And we also have a special manuscript that is in fact completely handmade, especially in honor of the Rabbi Burak, for your years of devotion to the shul. We thank you, and we'd like you to receive this document. But you can't see it, of course, unless the rabbi decides you want to open it. Now this was commissioned and arrived here at 5:30, so it's not signed.
I can take a picture.
I'm Uncle Enico. Come out to say. You smile again?
Presented to Rabbi Dr. Moses J. Burak in appreciation for his many years of dedicated and devoted service to Beth Jacob J. Drildz congregation on the occasion of the centenary celebration, June 26, 1997, Kaf Aleph Sivan, Tafshin Nun Zayin. Let those who serve the community do it selflessly, for then the merit of their ancestors will aid them and their righteousness will endure forever. And in gold, the whole thing in the original.
Is that it?
You're returned after signature.
This is my wife, yes. It's business.
No, my sister.
Good, that is your idea.
Do I look that old?
Sorry.
No problem. Yes,
I want to remind people again, once again, as we stated in the beginning, the flowers do not belong to the shul, so please don't take them home, leave them on the tables, they have to be collected and returned. At this time, we will call upon cousin Marsha Gibbs to lead us to the benching. That will be followed by Myra upstairs.
Did anyone ever call me?
Thank you all for coming.
Good, we all care. It would have come here. Lady told me to know. Thanks,
המעלות ושוב אדוני שיפצי המלכים כחולקים המחסים המלס ושוכן גדולים איתם אז מעתה ולדור לעם, ברשות מורנו הרב, כהנים, רבנן, ורבותיי, נברך אלוהינו שאכלנו משלו. ברוך אלוהינו שאכלנו משלו, ובטובו חיינו. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עשה את העולם כולו בטובו הוא נותן לחם לבשר כי לעולם חזור, ובטובו הגדול תמיד לא חסר לנו ולא יחסר לנו לעזור לעולם ברוך שמו הגדול, ובזמן מפרנס לכל, ומטיב לכל, ומכיל מצב לכל בריאותיו אשר ברא. ברוך אתה אדוני, עשה את הכל, תודה לך אדוני אלוהינו, על שבת תורתנו את צמחתו הנקבה. ולכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ואנחנו מבקשים לך ברוך אתה אדוני על הארץ ועל המזון, לכן אדוני אלוהינו נסלמך ונשמך ירושלים עיר הקודש במהרה בימינו, ברוך אתה אדוני כל ברחמה בירושלים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם ואין אבינו מלכנו עד ימינו. וכל טוב ומכל טוב ולעולם על יחסרנו, הרחמנו כולו חלינו לעולם ועד. ידין ישועות מלכו ועושה חסד למשיחו ותחתית ולזרעו
I want to thank the Chazan. I'd like to thank again Yehuda Gilden for the wonderful music.